and welcome to an algebra tutorial video learning about linear systems of equations. In this video, we're going to be talking about what happens when you have a linear system that has an infinite number of solutions. So what do we mean by that? Well, we mean that there are an infinite number of points, x and y values, that when I put them in for the equation, cause both equations to be true. And really, so the cases that we have are when two lines intersect and cross one time. There's one solution. In the previous video, right before this, we talked about when there are no solutions. That's when we have parallel lines that never intersect. Well, to have infinite solutions means that both lines, both equations are the same line. So if you were to take a linear system, graph both equations, and you look at your graph and you see, wow, there's only one line there, that might be a sneaky suspicion that you really have just the same equation, just in different forms, rearranged differently. In this example right here, these actually are the same equation. I've graphed them over here is what the graph would look like. And you can see there's only one line. So now let's dig into a little bit more. If they're the same equation, then that means they should have the same slope and the same y-intercept. So one way to go about proving that your two equations are the same is to solve them and put them both into y equals mx plus b form. You can then really easily see the slope, really easily see the y-intercept, and really easily see if they're the same equation. So let's do that with both of these. We'll start with this first equation right here, 10y minus 4x equals negative 80. Let's put that into y equals mx plus b form. We're going to solve for y, get everything else on the other side. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Minus 4x plus 4x. I've now got 10y equals 4x minus 80. And now I'm going to divide everything on both sides by 10. And we get y equals 4/10 reduces down to 2/5 x minus 80 divided by 10 is 8, so minus 8. All right, now if these are identical equations, if there's an infinite solution, I should be able to take the second equation, 2x minus 5y equals 40, and it should turn into the same equation with the same slope. So let's do that here. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. I'm going to solve for y here. And so now I've got negative 5y is equal to negative 2x plus 40. All right, now I'm going to divide everything on both sides by negative 5. Negative 5, that leaves me with just y all by itself. Negative 2 divided by negative 5 turns into positive 2/5. Negative divided by negative is positive. And 40 divided by negative 5 is negative 8. And look at there, we have the same equation. So that is one way to go about it. If you have a linear system of equations, and if they're really the same equation, we can show that they have the same slope, the same y-intercept, then there are an infinite number of solutions. Because the same x value here will give me a y value that has the same x and y value there. It doesn't matter the x and y value. All right, so that's graphically what's going on and algebraically showing they're the same. What happens if I just try and solve this thing out? Maybe I don't recognize right off. I'm just crunching out some systems. Let's solve this one using the elimination method and see what happens. All right, so the elimination method, if you remember, we line up our x's and our y's, we get them in standard form, and then we add them together and we see what happens. So I'm going to rearrange the top one to get negative 4x plus 10y. I'm just changing the order of these two, equals negative 80. Now for the bottom one, I'm going to rewrite it as 2x minus 5y equals 40. All right. So I've got my x's and y's lined up. I can see I need to multiply, so I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 2, because that'll give me negative 4 and plus 4. So now let's see what we got here. So my linear system, the top equation stays the same. I'm going to multiply everything on the bottom by negative 2. So 2 times 2x is going to be 4x. 2 times negative 5 is going to be negative 10y. And 2 times the 40 is going to be 80. Now let's add these two equations together. I've got my opposites. Negative 4x plus 4x is going to give me 0. 10y plus negative 10y is going to give me 0. Uh-oh. Equals negative 80 plus 80 is going to give me 0. Well, what's happening here? What does it mean when I have 0 equals 0? Well, that's a true statement, right? Because it is true that 0 does equal 0. But what happened to my x's? What happened to my y's? Why can't I solve for anything? Well, what this means is x and y are irrelevant in terms of the solution. It doesn't matter what I put in for x and y. They're going to cancel out, and I'm going to be left with a solution, or left with something that is true. So when you see this case, when it's a true statement, well, that means there's an infinite number of solutions. All right, so there you go. Hopefully that helps you kind of see and understand. Again, most of the time when you solve a linear system, you're looking for that intersection point. Graph both of them, you'll see the lines cross, and you're trying to find that particular point. But you do need to be careful that there are times where you may have parallel lines that never intersect, and so there's no solution. Or you may have the same equation. They're the same line, so they just are one right on top of each other, and there are infinite solutions.